instrument or instruments do you play? And I play piano and violin. How long have you been playing your instrument? I've been playing piano for about 7.5 years and violin for almost 5 years. How long do you practice per day? It really depends, but lately I've been trying to do more practice. I've been trying to shoot for like an hour and a half on each instrument. How old were you when you started playing your instrument? I started playing piano when I was 7 years old. I started playing violin when I was 10.5 years old. What made you want to start playing music? Okay, so I have a little bit of a story on this. So for piano, the beginning of 2nd grade, that's when I noticed that I was kind of destined to like play music and stuff. And like all my life, I've been exposed to like classical music and stuff, and I've really enjoyed it. But it wasn't until the beginning of 2nd grade when I really noticed that. So anyways, I went to music class in school, because like basically in school what we used to do was we used to have like music, art, and PE, like but like we alternated each day. So I went to music class and I heard this piece and I started to get like really obsessed with it. Like I loved that piece, and I basically just heard it and really loved it, and I became obsessed with it. And basically I started playing it like at home. I started like playing it on like the music player or whatever. My dad was starting to notice that I was just like loving music and stuff, and so he asked me, Daniela, would you be interested in taking piano lessons? And me being open-minded especially about anything music related, I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds really fun. So I was enrolled into piano lessons, and I ended up really enjoying it, and I continued, and to this day I'm still taking piano lessons. And for violin, that was a little bit of a different story. Talked my parents into it, and at first they were like warning me, like, Daniela, like if you really want to do 2 instruments, you're gonna need to stay with it and like keep practicing and stuff, and remember that you were the one who wanted to do this. Yeah, so like they were warning me about all that, and we kind of talked about it a little bit more. And then after a while I got enrolled into violin lessons. I was really, really excited, and I remember I started out with a quarter-sized violin. What is your favorite instrument, like out of all the ones that you play, and why? And my answer to that is I can't decide. I enjoy piano and violin both equally. I can't decide which one I like better, and I get that question a lot. Like people always ask me, which one do you like better? And I really can't decide. What type of music do you like to play? And I've always been a classical music kind of person. I've always been playing classical music since I started taking music lessons. What type of music do you like to listen to? And I like to listen to classical music. Are you planning on having a career in music? And the answer is yes. I want to, when I get older, I want to like perform and stuff, and like do this as like a job, because I think it sounds really fun to just like perform and stuff and be like a soloist. Have you ever had an audition or a performance that didn't go as well as you thought it would? And so I have a little story. So last year I was auditioning for for like the Regent Orchestra. I felt confident, and I was just really confident, like I'm gonna do well on this. I've been working on these excerpts for like 5 months. I'm gonna do really well on this. And so I go into my audition, and also like the night before the audition, I didn't get a lot of sleep. Like I only got like 3 hours of sleep the night before, and that probably that was probably something that affected my audition. So I go to play my audition, and the excerpt that I felt more confident on, I messed up. And I felt like I did better on the excerpt that I was least confident on, which is really weird, and I feel like that happens very often, like in auditions and stuff. But I messed up on the one that I felt more confident on, and I didn't end up getting in. What do you struggle with the most? My teacher has told me that my technique isn't there yet, so I'm basically like currently working on my technique. Have you ever had a crazy memory slip during a performance? And yes, I have. You just go in and you play for a judge, and they call these festivals, but they're not like they're not like music festivals like you think. But anyways, so I was playing for a judge, and this was like about a year ago. So I was playing for a judge, and this was on piano. I was playing Chopin's Nocturne in C sharp minor, and I had a memory slip in the middle of the piece, and this was like a major memory slip, like one of my bigger memory slips, not like a tiny memory slip, but like a bigger one. And eventually I figured out, eventually I went on, like, I kind of improvised some notes a little bit, and then I eventually got back on and finished the piece. And I was actually surprised to see that my rating that I got was a Superior Plus, which is basically the highest rating that you can get at like one of these festivals. I was so shook because I didn't think that I would get a high rating because of this memory slip. Have you ever had a serious injury and couldn't play music for a long time? Well, I have broken a bone before, but the last time I had a serious injury and like broken my wrist, like I broke my wrist when I was 5 years old, but that was before I started like taking music lessons and stuff. What is the hardest thing about being a musician? And I feel like the hardest thing about being a musician is it takes up a lot of time, because I have had a lot of orchestra rehearsals lately, because we actually have a trip, which actually, as you're watching this video, I am currently on my orchestra trip on the day that this goes up, so yay. But we have a trip and we are like performing and stuff on the trip, and we've had a lot of rehearsals lately, and I feel like it's definitely fun, don't get me wrong, I love playing music, but I feel like it takes up a lot of time. How do you usually feel when performing? Okay, so I personally love performing, and I do know that like some people don't like it as much, but I personally love performing. It makes me very happy, and I've also like done a lot of performances, so I've kind of gotten used to it, but I personally don't get nervous when performing. I just like have a lot of fun with it, and here's some advice for like when you're performing, like if you easily get nervous when performing, here's my advice to you. Just like don't think about the audience, just pretend you're playing and like no one's watching you. Just pretend you're practicing in the comfort of your own home. Just think about it that way and just have fun with it, because you never know how much fun performing can be. Has there ever been a time when you didn't think you would be ready for a performance but you ended up doing well? Yes, I have had a time that happened. A few years ago I was working on a piece for the hymn festival, because this was like for another like festival, and this was the hymn festival, so you had to like play like religious music and whatnot. And so I was working on a piece for the hymn festival, and this piece that I was working on, I was struggling with it. It was like, for some reason I was struggling with it, and this was like getting close to the festival. Eventually I got really stressed out, and then I remember one morning before school, this was like before I left for school, I just felt like it just like got to me, and I broke down because I felt really stressed out and I didn't think I was going to be ready, and so I just broke down. But then later that day, it was later that same day after school, I was practicing, and all of a sudden, like, I was able to play the piece without struggling. I was like, how did this happen? Like, literally, I don't know how it happened, but I felt like I could just play the piece. And like, literally, like, not even 24 hours before, I was literally having a breakdown because I didn't think that I was going to be ready. The festival, I play my piece, I ended up getting a Superior Plus. I was really proud of myself. What advice do you have for people who are interested in learning an instrument or like playing music or whatever? So my advice is, okay, practice. Like, definitely practice, and because that's very important. I know there are definitely those times that you just don't feel like practicing. I know I've had those times when I just didn't want to practice, And I feel like everyone who plays a musical instrument just has those times when they really don't want to practice, like their heart is just not into it. But definitely practice, it will really pay off, and practice well. Like don't just like don't just like play the piece through over and over again. Like practice well, it will definitely pay off in the end. And also have fun. Like I know that's really cliche, but have fun. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this, and I tag all of you guys. If any of you guys play a musical instrument or like just like play music, I tag you to do this, to do this tag. And yeah, so if you guys would like to be a candidate for a shout out in next week's video, then don't forget to comment down below one of your answers to this question. And if you don't play a musical instrument and like you can't like answer one of these questions, then just tell me what instrument would you like to play, like what instrument, or like what's your favorite instrument, or just like tell me what your favorite musical instrument is. Anyways, I guess that's pretty much it, and I will see you guys in next week's video on 7 Wowzerfying Girls. And that's pretty much it, and don't forget to have a wowzerfying day filled with lots of wowzerness, and I will see you guys next week. Peace out, y'all. Woo!